All right, so what I'm going to do, I've written 4 new projects here because I was able to finally get images of cell phones in the course. But what I did was, I'm using an Android emulator, and setting up the emulator is quite a lot of work. So what I did was I made projects where you set up your own emulator and collect data, evidence from your own emulator, and I made that all extra credit. But the one where you just analyze an image that I prepared, I made required because that's very much like ones you've already done. And one good thing about getting evidence from a cell phone is, in particular, that is very realistic. That's a common type of data. And the other thing about it is the image is not too big. So it's pretty easy to do without ridiculous heavy resources. So I'm going to demonstrate this one first, 144, the required one, and then I'll demonstrate the others. So let me get my virtual Windows machine going, which is the only thing I'm going to need for this. And I have to turn on a fan because my machine tends to overheat when running virtual machines. It took me a while to learn that. I think it is stressed because I'm running so many monitors on it. I am exceeding the limit of external monitors, so it does that through some kind of a simulation which I think places a burden on the GPU or something like that. All I know is it does get hot and it starts misbehaving, and blowing a fan on it makes it work better. All right, this turned out to be very easy. It took me a long time to make it work. And I'll mention, Autopsy used to be a Linux-based tool, and it was very unimpressive. And I wasn't very happy to use it. It was ugly and didn't work too well, and they greatly improved it and made it much prettier looking Windows tool, but it still has limitations. Well, I'm running 4 external monitors in addition to the built-in monitor, and my Mac is only supposed to be able to run 2, but I'm going through an external hub to do it, and it's doing it through weird simulation. So, you know, it's a little stressed, but it made a good setup to work at home. Anyway, like I say, Autopsy used to be really lame and bad, and it's gotten better. But see, even now my mouse is a little funny. All right, I got to clean up some stuff off my desktop. Let's see if I can get this to work. Right click. Okay, delete. Yeah, my mouse is it's like driving on ice. All right. And delete this one. All right. And there should be a data folder, which I'm going to delete too. Yeah, the combination of streaming and a virtual machine is pretty bad. However, I think I'll be able to do it here. I've had troubles with it before. All right. All right, let's go to the web page and talk about this. So I'm doing this one, 144, and this is very much like what you've done before. You need 7-zip and you need hashcalc, which you probably already have from before. If not, you can just download and install them. And then you need this evidence file, Android image 2, which is one I made this morning. And I've got it on my local system, so I don't need to download it from the web. Let me, there it is, good. So I'm going to just copy it on my host machine and paste it into my evidence machine, my analysis machine here, which is here. All right. Whenever this thing is done recycling junk, well, I'll try pasting this at the same time that's happening. We'll see if that works or what. Paste, good. I may have, good, something's moving. How about letting this take place? Well, it's pretty slow. To some extent, being slow is good for videos and students, so they don't get lost, but this might be a little too slow. All right, yeah, it looks like Explorer crashed, which is pretty common. Let's try maybe if I empty the recycle bin. Let's see if that helps. Oh, I think it's working better now. Oh, now it's working. Good. Okay, this, by the way, is extremely common. Windows, and for that matter, sometimes even the Mac, the process that draws the desktop will crash and have bugs, and restarting it helps. So anyway, I'm going to shove this aside. Oh, it's moving very much better now. Oh, good. Now I can paste this. Good. And there it is, copying this file. This file is about 1 gig. I'm not sure what all those pop-ups were. They might have been my fake malware on here. That's another thing that doesn't help. Use this machines for a lot of things. All right. Well, it's moving. All right. So, what this is a tar.gz file. And you can, that's a Linux compressed file, and you can open it with 7-zip. So, right, but the thing to be aware is 2 stages. So, I guess I'll let that deleting go. We'll see how much it slows me down. 7-zip, extract here. Okay, there it goes. And that moves across pretty well. So that unzips the tar.gz into a tar file. And a tar is a tape archive. It's not compressed, but it does take a bunch of files and put them in a single file. So you have to extract it a second time from the tar file. All right, it's moving okay. And when I'm not doing this emptying the bin, it moves even faster. I just thought emptying the bin might make things work better here. And it might. Because I've really been filling this machine up with many images trying things. And discovering some unhappy limitations of Autopsy, which I'm about to explain. So there should now, here it is, android.tar. As opposed to this one, this is tar.gz. I'm done with that one. I'll delete it. Now I have to extract the tar file the same way. 7-zip, extract here. Okay, and that will create a folder named data. And there's that folder appearing. And it's going to fill it with all the data I took off this Android phone. You can see all the file names scrolling by with names like data/com.google.android. That's the way everything's stored on an Android phone. In the data/data directory, there's a separate directory for every application, and in there is all the data created and stored by that application. So this is where the SMS messages are, the phone calls, the web searches, the web history, and all that stuff that you want. This is all the personal data that was stored by the user of the phone. I did not make a complete forensic image of the storage on the phone, which would include the Android operating system. I tried different ways to make that image, and I even downloaded some standard images, and Autopsy would not accept any of them. So that's quite disturbing. The Autopsy program does not seem to accept any of the standard forensic images that you would make from an Android phone, although it says it does. And many people have the same complaint. And in the documentation for Autopsy, people are saying, how do you make that image? And they say, we don't make an image making tool. But if people have taken the standard tools like Celebrite, UFED, and they have made images and put them on the web for people to use, and they don't work in Autopsy, so I'm not too impressed by that. But this is a logical image where I have just copied the files from the data folder, and that works. Anyway, by the way, it does have some problems creating symbolic links. Some of the files are symbolic links on Android, and for some reason they can't recreate those links on Windows. I've decided I don't care and just close it. But this, by the way, is something you would make a record of. Make sure that if your tool created an error, you would record that, because it's possible that that error is something important. And if this were a real case, I would have to investigate in more detail and make sure I understand exactly why what these things are, and that it's okay that I'm not getting them. Anyway, so now I've got the data. Now I run Autopsy. And it's, by the way, much easier to make a logical acquisition anyway, so easier and smaller. So I said for the purposes of this class, the logical acquisition is fine. But as we're going to see, even the logical acquisition, I'm not very impressed with how Autopsy works here. There are real cell phone forensic tools, like BlackBag and Celebrite and some others, and they're real expensive. And they're worth it. In this case, the free tool does not keep up, which is pretty common. There's a reason why it's free. So you need to create a case. Yes. Okay. Well, it's a little slow, but not terrible. Android demo. All right. Got a typo in the name, but I don't care. Yeah, it's being a little slow and annoying. I think I can get by. Finish. All right. Error initializing keyword search module. Well, okay. Yeah, it's not running perfectly. Now, it should give me a chance to ingest data, unless it's going to crash or something. Local solar server did not respond to a status request. Well, looks like it's moving anyway. It's not too hot. Well, if it's going to be irritating, what I'll have to do is move it out of the region that's being streamed. That'll make it move. It's the streaming plus the virtualization that's slowing things down so much. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to move this off the screen. See if that speeds it up. I'm afraid it does not speed it up for a process like this that's already going. Aha, yes, I know what to do. Moving it completely off that monitor to another monitor is what makes it move. Okay. Now I know. So it should give me an opportunity to add data, and when it does that, I'll put it back on the screen so you can see it. There we are. Okay. So after it's done creating the case, you get this window, and I'm going to take the default and generate a new host name. It's logical files is what we have here. We just have copy of the data folder from the Android phone. So next, I'll see how far I can get even while streaming this. We'll see. All right, so now I just have to add that folder as evidence. It's on my desktop, and it's called data. There we go. Select that, and next. And now, to speed up time, I'm removing all the analysis except the Android analysis, Android Analyzer, something called a leap. And what this does is it looks in there for DB files, which are SQLite databases that contain the SMS messages and phone calls and everything. And unfortunately, it doesn't look very smartly for them. They have to be pretty much exactly where it expects to find them, or it can't find them. So that's why this logical image seems to be the only one that actually works properly. And so now it's going to process that data, and you see the names go by here. It's moving. I think this is all right. See, it's all data, com, Google, Android, and so on. So it'll take a little while. And this is pre-processing, and then there's another stage of processing after this where it runs that Android module. This is just indexing and adding all the files. That didn't take too long. And now finish. Should get rid of this box. And yep, there we are. And now Android Analyzer is running. You see it at the bottom here. And it doesn't take too long. We've turned off all those other analysis steps. So as you see, it's already 17%. So this is not too burdensome. %. A whole bunch of data just appeared on the left. See, here it is showing installed programs, messages, web accounts, web history, web search, and cookies, although you're not going to get a whole lot out of cookies. But the history and the search, well, I see it's very common that searches come up in court. You can see why. The search is right there. So you searched for poison before you poisoned somebody. You searched for weapons before you killed somebody. That's a common thing. It's easy for forensic examiners to find your search. Okay, now it's done. And now you just examine the evidence. So you look at the call logs, and here you see a phone number, 111-222-3333. These are fake phone calls I sent in. So you can see 2 phone calls, and when they came in, you don't get audio of the phone call or anything great like that, but you do get the time and the phone number it came from. If you click on one of these, there might be more evidence, more details down here, but I don't think there's much of anything. Nope. All right. Now, if you go to communication accounts, this is kind of nuts. In here, you get information about the accounts, and it has, for your device, it's got MMS files here, database, and something called logical file set. I couldn't find anything very useful here. And this MMS, we're going to see more details of it later. These are the SMS messages. Those are down here in messages too. But these phone accounts were here. One thing about those other accounts, sometimes I actually see something that claims to be an email password there, but it's all scrambled and not readable. But here I just see some, these look like telephone numbers coming in again. So again, these don't seem terribly useful, the communication accounts. The installed programs is useful. These are all the apps on the phone. And they seem to be sorted immediately with the most recent one on top, although you do have a date and time here. So you can see what kind of apps have been installed in this phone, so that could be useful. And here's the SMS messages. So if you click on one of these, you then can read through them here. Hello, phone. And then there's an answer. Make big money now, another one coming in, and so on. So you can see the SMS messages coming in, and those are, of course, very important. It's all over the news now. Something to do with Trump. Elon Musk's SMS messages are out there, revealing his discussion with everybody about whether to take over Twitter. Here's the web accounts. This is the one. You see Gmail account and something called a password, which is a really long base64 looking mess. I'm just sort of wonder, you can see it popping up there. It goes all the way across the screen. I don't know what that password field is. It sure looks like it would be hard to crack. I don't know if it's actually representation of your Gmail password or just a cookie or something. I'm not sure what good it is, but anyway, you do have some extremely encrypted or hashed version of a password here. And then web cookies, like I mentioned, every website puts a bunch of cookies on your machine, so themselves they don't prove much of anything, except you might get some evidence that somebody went to a particular URL that way. Web history, of course, is very useful, just like SMS. It shows you where everybody's been and when they were there. And then the search shows you what terms they've been searching for. And this often comes up in courts. You see them here, cute, searching for that. If you go to Google Play and search, it appears here. So just like in your project, in the other class, you make an Android phone, and the first thing you do is put on this thing called Qt, and you can see searching for it in the Google Play, and here's things searched in Chrome search. All your searches in Chrome are just stored here, and obviously they're stored in plain text somewhere on the phone and can be retrieved from the phone. So that's the kind of thing, and in this project there's some flags you find by looking through that. So it's pretty easy, and that's all there is to that one.